Hi guys, welcome back to Reading the Word and Understanding the Bible verse. Today I read Amos chapter 1 and chapter 2, and what I find interesting is in chapter 1 it says judgment on Israel's neighbors. So it says that this is what God says, and then it says fire and then it consumed by the fortress. So that means fire came upon all the neighbors of Israel. So that's what I find interesting. So that's in chapter 1. And in chapter 2, what I find interesting is the Moabs were the only were also set by fire. And so was Judah set by fire. And then it talks about the judgment of Israel and how wicked Israel really was back during this time. You gotta remember that Israelites were way more wicked than their neighbors. So during this time, they trampled on the poor. They didn't care about other people. Fathers and sons used the same gore. It was just very wicked. They worship false gods. They drank wine, and God says, what do I do with these people? And God still tries to pour his love out to him, because he says, I brought these people out of Egypt, out of slavery in Egypt. He brought them out to take over this land that I have given blessing with milk and honey. And they turn around and they tell the prophets not to prophesy. They tell the people who I have warned them about what's going to happen. They turn them around and say, go away, or we'll stone you. So they didn't want to know the truth. These people wanted to live in their sinful nature and their sinful way of life. So what does God do? He sends an army to come down, and that army comes, and the great warriors of Israel flee in nakedness because they couldn't hide. They had to run away from the warriors coming down and crushing Israel because of their sin. And it says they came swiftly and were not escaped. So think about that. God came in this and had a war come down towards Israel because of their sin. So remember that today, is that our learning lesson is here, is that we may be living in a world right now where we see the wickedness, we see how evil people could be. But we're not as evil as what the Israelites were yet. And thank God we're not living in that time period, because this was just really brutal to live in. And it's a learning lesson for us that this is how strongly we need Jesus in our life. How we need him to guide us. How we need him to be there and think about him all the time. Because without Jesus, we're lost. Just like the Israelites were. They had God, but they were lost. They didn't want to go to him. So go to Jesus and cry out to him. And think about him throughout the day. Pray that you guys have a good day, blessed day. Pray you guys have a good weekend. Love you guys, and God bless.